Settle down, son. It's story time. And tonight we're talking tactics. Now, close your eyes. Imagine stepping back in time to a misty old football pitch. The year is 1906. You can hear the roar of the crowd and smell the damp grass beneath your feet. Before you are the players in their heavy striped shirts and muddy boots, struggling for every inch of ground. The ball is kicked off and they surge forward. A give and go here, a neat little flick there, but it's also disjointed. They have no formation, no system, just a desire to reach the other side and score a goal. Back then, the beautiful game was just that. Beautiful in its simplicity, but pure chaos. As the years passed, though, this unpredictability gave way to strategy and organization. And as football grew in popularity, fans craved not just goals, but goals in spectacular fashion. Enter the innovators, men who dared to dream of a better way to play the game. Tonight, we'll see how these visionaries crafted the first ever football formations, from the classic pyramid to the iconic WM. Let's go. Our story starts here at Aston Villa's famous Holta End, where the roaring crowds would once spur the villains to victory. But today we turn back the clock to see a team taking shape. This is Aston Villa in the 1908-09 season, and what we see here is a formation that would become known as the 2-2-3-5, or the pyramid. The reason for this name is obvious when you look at the positioning of the players. 2 defenders sat either side of a towering goalkeeper, 3 halfbacks shielding the midfield, and 5 forwards stretching the opposition's defense. This formation had been made famous by the legendary trainer Jimmy Hogan while he was at the helm of Chelsea. But since then, the game has evolved, and now the attacking players have more freedom to roam and interchange positions. This allows the fullbacks to overlap and provide width, something that's key to their success. In fact, in the top flight that season, Villa conceded only 21 goals and scored an impressive 54, finishing as runners-up. And while they didn't win the league, this innovative formation did catch the eye. The beauty of the pyramid lay not just in its effectiveness, but also in its simplicity. Players could easily understand their roles, and the fluidity allowed them to adapt to different opponents. For instance, when faced with a strong team, the fullbacks could tuck in, and the 5 forwards could form a tight unit, making it difficult for the opposition to break through. When playing against weaker sides, though, the wingers could stretch the pitch and the central striker could lead the line. This versatility made the pyramid a popular choice among teams across the country. But while many adopted the system, none used it quite like the Manchester City team of the 1920s. Managed by the legendary Billy Meredith, this City side played some of the most beautiful football the world had ever seen. Their version of the pyramid was a thing of beauty, an attacking force that tore through defenses with ease. Meredith's philosophy was simple: attack, attack, attack. He wanted his team to dominate possession and create chances by passing the ball quickly and intelligently. This meant that the players had to be technically gifted and tactically disciplined. But when they clicked, there was no stopping them. Their movement was mesmerizing, their passing laser-like. The 2-3-5 became a thing of art form under Meredith, but it wasn't without its flaws. The wide players were often isolated, and the lack of midfield protection left the defense exposed at times. Nevertheless, the entertainment value of this free-flowing football was off the charts. Fans flocked to Main Road to witness the magic firsthand, and City became one of the most successful clubs in England. With 6 league titles and 2 FA Cups under their belt, the 2-3-5 had proven its worth. It was a formation that had revolutionized the game and would continue to influence managers for decades to come. But before we move on, let me tell you about a special course created just for you. Now back to the show. As the years rolled by, football continued to evolve and new challenges emerged. Teams started employing more sophisticated tactics and formations, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The 2-3-5, while still effective, was not foolproof. Teams began exploiting its weaknesses, and managers had to adapt. Enter the WM formation. Imagine the year is 1925, and you find yourself at Hampden Park in Glasgow. The roar of the crowd is deafening as Scotland takes on England in a friendly match. It's a battle of 2 heavyweights, and the tension is palpable. Then you see it. A moment that will change football forever. player breaks away from the pack, weaving through the opposition like a dancer. His name is Huey Gallacher, and what you're witnessing is not just a brilliant individual performance, it's the birth of a new era in football tactics. Gallacher's movement was unlike anything seen before. He was part of a new breed of player, the modern forward. He dropped deep, creating space for his teammates and linking the attack with intelligent runs. That day, Scotland won 2-1, and Gallacher became a legend. His innovative approach to playing as a lone striker would go on to influence generations of footballers. Let's fast forward a bit. We're now in 1927 at Wembley Stadium. The Football Association Challenge Cup final is about to kick off, and what you're about to see will blow your mind. The winning team, the Corinthians, take to the field and unveil their secret weapon, the WM formation. Named after the shape it forms on paper, this revolutionary system features 3 forwards, 5 midfielders, and 2 defenders. The 3 forwards were relatively traditional, tasked with scoring goals and leading the attack. But it was the 5 midfielders who really made this formation stand out. Positioned in a semicircle behind the forwards, these players had a crucial role to play. They were responsible for both attack and defense, surging forward to support the attack when needed, and dropping back to form a solid wall when the opposition counterattacked. The 2 defenders, meanwhile, were left relatively untroubled, forming a comfortable partnership at the back. But it wasn't just the players' positions that made the WM so effective. It was also the way they moved. Unlike previous formations, the WM allowed for constant movement, both in attack and defense. The forwards were encouraged to make diagonal runs, stretching the opposition's defense and creating space for the midfielders to exploit. When defending, the midfielders would compact, forming a shield in front of the back two. The beauty of the WM lay in its flexibility. It could be adapted to suit different opponents and playing conditions. Against a strong team, the Corinthia could sit back and hit on the counterattack. But against weaker opposition, they could press forward, using the width of the pitch to create scoring opportunities. And so the WM took the football world by storm. Teams across the country tried to replicate Corinthian success, and soon the English game was transformed. But while the WM was undoubtedly a groundbreaking formation, it wasn't without its limitations. The 3 forwards could sometimes be too isolated, and the lack of a dedicated defensive midfielder meant that the team could be vulnerable to quick counterattacks. Nevertheless, the WM's impact on football was undeniable. It had changed the way the game was played forever. And as the years went by, new formations emerged, each building on the foundations laid by the pioneers of the past. As our time together draws to a close, I want you to remember the lessons they taught us. Be fearless in your innovation, be adaptable in your thinking, and never stop striving for excellence. These are the principles that have guided the greatest teams of all time. And they are the principles that will help you succeed in whatever challenges you face. So go forth and be like the masters of old. Be creative, be dynamic, and be unstoppable. Football in 1950 with the introduction of the Brazil team that would later revolutionize the sport. But much happened before that golden era of the 1970s, and we will get there in this video. So let's continue our journey through the history of tactics and formations in professional football, the beautiful game. From 1950 until the end of the 1990s, most matches were played with either a 4-4-2, 4-3-3, or 3-5-2 formation. In this time, the idea of total football would be born and die, and new ideas from attacking full-backs to the sweeper would change the game forever. These years were also the golden age of European club football, with amazing teams like Real Madrid's European Cup winners and Ajax's total football team dominating the continent. In the previous video, we saw how the WM formation was giving way to the 4-2-4 and later the 4-4-2. The 4-4-2 was an extremely popular formation for both its simplicity and effectiveness. Imagine facing 2 walls of defenders. You need at least 1 striker to score a goal. 2 strikers is even better, but 3 is just ridiculous. It's simply impossible to defend against unless you are playing beach soccer. So now imagine having only 2 strikers. You need someone to pass the ball to them, and since we still have 2 lines of 4 players, you can only play with wingers. And this is where the 4-4-2 was born. If your team had the ball, one of the wingers would move up and take the place of one of the strikers, forming a 3-1 attacking line. If they didn't have the ball, He would track back and assist the defender on that side, forming a solid 4-4-2 wall. If you want more wingers, no problem. Just make sure you have enough defenders to cover all those flanks. This is how some of the greatest teams of all time played, and what I mean by great teams is not only the super expensive modern-day clubs with 80 players and a budget of 600 million euros. No, these were teams who were successful with just 11 players and a fraction of the current budgets. One of the first great teams to implement the 4-4-2 was Hungary in the 1950s. They pushed the pace and overwhelmed their opponents by playing fast attacking football with 2 strikers and 4 nimble wingers, providing crosses for them. Brazil would popularize the formation after winning the FIFA World Cup in 1970. Their team was filled with genius players who could do things with the ball that made the supporters fall off their seats. Pelé, Tostão, Jairzinho, Rivellino, Gerson, and many others. That tournament was a spectacle for everyone who watched it. People came to see a World Cup and ended up watching a football fiesta. But every great system had its weaknesses, and rivals always found a way to break it. A great example is England's 1966 World Cup winning team. They were pragmatic and played a version of 4-4-2 that relied on direct long balls towards their target man up front, Geoff Hurst. They reached the final by winning only 1 match during the group stage, drawing the other 2. In the quarter-final, they barely managed to beat Argentina 1-0, thanks to a controversial goal that remains to this day the subject of many debates. In the semi-final, they won 2-1 against Portugal in extra time with a very similar performance. And in the final, they played against defending champions, Germany, a team who liked to pass the ball around. The match was balanced, but England managed to win 4-2, thanks to Hurst's 2 goals and 2 other goals from other players. The 4-3-3 formation is the formation of freedom. Imagine being a winger. Your job is to run down the flank, cross the ball into the box, and then run back and track the fullback. Sounds simple, right? Now imagine having another winger on the other side doing the exact same thing. You have options now. Not only can you cut inside and shoot, but you can also pass to your teammate who will also make an overlapping run down his flank. You're free, my friend. There's nothing more freeing than a 4-3-3 formation. At times, the wingers would cut inside and become attacking midfielders, passing the ball around and looking for space. Sometimes they would switch wings. All of this depending on who has the space and who needs help. This is why it's called total football. Everything depends on the situation. There are no set roles here. Everyone helps everyone. This type of football was pioneered by the Dutch national team in the late 1960s and early 70s under coach Rinus Michels. Their best result was reaching the final of the 1974 World Cup, where they lost against hosts West Germany. Despite losing, Cruyff and his teammates were the stars of the tournament. Johan Cruyff was easily the best player in the world at the time, and he dragged his team as far as he could. But the German team was too strong and tactical, and they deservedly won the trophy. But the Dutch didn't care about trophies. They cared about playing beautiful attacking football, and nothing else mattered. After the disappointing World Cup campaign, Cruyff decided to retire from the national team. His teammates followed his lead, and Dutch football entered a period of rebuilding. New players were brought in, and they started performing well again, qualifying for the 1978 World Cup in Argentina. But the bad blood between the Dutch and the Argentines meant that the Netherlands didn't stand a chance. They were eliminated in the second round, which caused a lot of controversy. The Dutch were accused of throwing the game on purpose so they wouldn't have to play against the host nation in the quarterfinals. But the truth was that Argentina was a very good team led by superstar Mario Kempes. And besides, the Dutch were tired of playing attacking football and wanted to focus on something more practical, winning trophies. That's when the baton was passed to Spain. Under the guidance of manager Josep Samitier, they implemented a similar style of play. Their success was immediate, and they became known as the Mannschaft, the team. They won almost everything there was to win: La Liga, Copa del Rey, UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, UEFA Champions League, and the European Championship. They were not as talented as the Dutch, but they used their brains and their skills to dominate their opponents. They were masters of positioning and movement, and their football was a joy to watch. And finally, we arrive at the 3-5-2. You know when people say they hate formations because it reminds them of some painful defeat they suffered against their favorite team? Well, that's me. I love the 3-5-2 because of the memories it gives me of watching the legendary AC Milan teams of the 1990s. Baresi, Maldini, Costa Curta, everyone was great. But why did they choose this formation? Because it solved their problems. They had two excellent wingbacks, Paolo Maldini and Cafu, and two creative attacking midfielders, Dejan Savicevic and Roberto Donadoni. The 3-5-2 allowed them to push forward with 5 players instead of 4, while maintaining defensive solidity. When defending, the wingbacks would tuck inside and join the 3 center-backs. When attacking, the fullbacks would overlap the wingers and send crosses into the box. Marco van Basten was the perfect target man for the Dutch because he was tall, strong, and clinical in front of goal. And he had an understudy, a certain George Weah, who could also do a great job. This Milan team dominated Italy and Europe in the late 80s and early 90s. They won 2 Champions League titles, 2 Italian league titles, and 1 Scudetto. They also reached 2 finals, losing on penalties against Liverpool in the 1985 Champions League final and against Steaua Bucharest in the 1986 European Cup final. The latter remains the only European final to be decided on penalties. But like the great Spanish team before them, they faced opposition who found ways to exploit the 3-5-2's weaknesses. In 1993, Fabio Capello took over AC Milan and implemented a new system. The Rossoneri continued to play great attacking football, but switched to a 4-4-2 diamond formation. The results were immediate, and AC Milan returned to the top of Italian and European football. So you see, the beautiful game has been changing and evolving since day one, and these changes are reflected in the way teams play and line up. A dusty pitch, a leather ball, and 2 teams battling for supremacy. The earliest recorded game of football took place in 1863. Since then, the beautiful game has grown. Crowds have swelled, professionalism has taken over, and the sport has gone global. But at its heart, the core principles remain the same. Over the years, though, the evolution of tactics and formations has been nothing short of fascinating. From the classic 2-3-5 of the past to the ultra-modern false 9 today, football formations have always been a reflection of the beautiful game's constant state of flux. Join us as we take a look back at the most used formations throughout history and find out which one is still standing strong in the modern era. In the early days of football, the sport was largely unstructured, with players coming together from different backgrounds and skill sets. There was no set number of players or even a standardized shape on the field. But as the game evolved, certain formations began to emerge. One of the earliest widely used formations was the 2-3-5, which featured 2 fullbacks, 3 halfbacks, and 5 forwards. This formation, also known as the pyramid, was popular in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It was a very attacking formation that relied on the speed and skill of the forwards to break through the opposition's defense. The fullbacks provided width and support to the attack, while the halfbacks were responsible for providing cover and balance to the team. The next notable formation was the 3-2-5, which emerged in the 1930s. This formation featured 3 fullbacks, 2 halfbacks, and 5 forwards. The 3-man defense provided more protection than the 2-man defense of the 2-3-5, while the 5 forwards allowed for a more fluid and dynamic attack. Some of the most successful teams of all time, including Hungary's mighty Magyars, used this formation to great effect. But the 4-4-2 formation became the most common formation in the 20th century. It's simple, it's effective, and it provides a good balance between attack and defense. 2 central defenders, 2 fullbacks, 2 central midfielders, and 2 strikers. That's all there is to it. Over the years, variations of the 4-4-2 have become popular, such as the diamond formation, which features a 4-man midfield in a diamond shape. But no matter the variation, the 4-4-2 has remained one of the most widely used formations in football history. Then came Pep Guardiola, who changed everything. He turned midfielders into artists painting masterpieces on the pitch with their passing range and accuracy. And his 4-2-3-1 formation became a thing of beauty to behold. While the basics of the 4-2-3-1 are straightforward, its execution requires a high level of technical skill and tactical discipline. The key to the formation's success lies in the intricate interplay between the players, particularly those in the attacking third. A false 9 or a withdrawn striker operates just behind the main striker, linking up with the midfielders and creating scoring opportunities. On the wings, inverted wingers cut inside, aiming to unleash powerful shots from improbable angles. And it's all orchestrated by a deep-lying playmaker whose vision and passing range dictate the tempo and direction of the attack. With its emphasis on possession and passing, the 4-2-3-1 has become a fan favorite. Teams like Barcelona under Guardiola and Manchester City in the present day have dazzled fans with their tiki-taka style of play. But it's not just about the fluidity and technical brilliance. The 4-2-3-1 also offers a high degree of tactical flexibility. The false nine can drop deep to create space for the main striker or hold up the ball to bring teammates into play. Inverted wingers can switch flanks, providing width and stretching the opposition defense. And the deep-lying playmaker can advance into a more advanced playmaking role or drop deeper to dictate the tempo of the game. On the other side of the spectrum, we encounter the Gegenpress, a relentless high-intensity pressing system pioneered by German manager Jurgen Klopp. Born out of necessity, the Gegenpress emerged as a way to overcome the limitations of less talented teams. Its effectiveness, however, soon caught the attention of top clubs, and it quickly evolved into a tactical staple for many. At its core, the Gegenpress is a high-intensity pressing system aimed at winning the ball back as quickly as possible after losing possession. This is achieved by pushing the entire team up the field, forcing the opposition into hurried clearances or unforced errors. To execute the Gegenpress effectively, players must be disciplined, well-organized, and possess excellent fitness levels. Each player has a specific role and responsibility when pressing and out of possession, and they must work in unison to make the system function. Despite its demanding nature, the Gegenpress has proven highly effective, turning what might seem like disadvantages into strengths. Teams employing the Gegenpress are often able to create numerous scoring chances by forcing the opposition into constant mistakes. Moreover, the system's intensity can be overwhelming for opponents, both physically and mentally. The relentless pressure can disrupt the opposition's rhythm and decision-making, leading to a breakdown in their play. One of the most famous examples of the Gegenpress in action can be seen in Liverpool's 4-3 victory over Borussia Dortmund in the 2015-16 UEFA Europa League quarter-finals. Liverpool, managed by Klopp at the time, was facing elimination until a last-minute goal from Mamadou Sakho kept their hopes alive. In the second leg, Liverpool came out with a high-pressing game, and the intensity and aggression of their play unsettled Dortmund, forcing them into multiple turnovers in midfield. This allowed Liverpool to create numerous chances, and they went on to win 4-3 on aggregate, progressing to the semi-finals. The Gegenpress has been widely adopted by clubs and national teams across Europe, with managers recognizing its potential to turn the tide in their favor. However, its success depends heavily on the fitness and discipline of the players, as well as the manager's ability to instill the right mentality and tactics. Another tactic that revolutionized football is the inverted fullback. This tactic involves positioning fullbacks in more central areas of the pitch, allowing them to contribute more significantly to the build-up play and attacking movements. This departure from traditional fullback duties has added a new dimension to modern football tactics, catching opponents off guard and creating more dynamic and unpredictable attacking options. Andy Robertson of Liverpool and João Cancelo of Manchester City are prime examples of inverted fullbacks in action. They demonstrate the effectiveness of this tactic by showcasing how fullbacks can become key creative forces in their respective teams. Their overlapping runs, incisive passes, and ability to exploit the space created by their team's movement make them valuable assets in both attacking and defensive phases of the game. One of the most iconic displays of the inverted fullback tactic can be seen in Liverpool's 4-0 victory over Barcelona in the 2019 Champions League semi-final. In this match, Liverpool's fullbacks, Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, played crucial roles in dismantling Barcelona's defense. By moving into central areas of the pitch and exploiting the space behind Barcelona's fullbacks, they created numerous chances for their teammates. One of the most memorable moments of the match was Alexander-Arnold's precise long pass to Divock Origi, who scored the second goal for Liverpool. This display of creativity and tactical awareness showcased the effectiveness of the inverted fullback tactic and contributed to Liverpool's victory and eventual Champions League triumph that season. The inverted fullback tactic has been widely adopted by top clubs across Europe, with managers recognizing the benefits of having fullbacks who can contribute to both attack and defense. However, it requires a high level of technical ability, tactical discipline, and fitness from the fullbacks. Managers also need to be willing to sacrifice some defensive stability in favor of attacking flair. But how will the future of football formations look? Will AI and analytics invent the next great formation? How will it change the game? As we stand on the precipice of the unknown, one thing is certain: the future belongs to those who dare to innovate and push the boundaries of what is possible. What comes next could redefine the beautiful game, captivating audiences worldwide. From the muddy pitches of the 19th century to the modern era of tactical innovation, football formations have come a long way. The evolution of tactics and formations has been a fascinating journey, each era leaving its own indelible mark on the sport. Formations like the 2-3-5, 3-2-5, and the classic 4-4-2 dominated their respective times, reflecting the changing styles and strategies of play. The emergence of Pep Guardiola's 4-2-3-1 and Jurgen Klopp's Gegenpress marked a new era of tactical innovation, emphasizing possession-based football and high-intensity pressing, respectively. Additionally, the inverted fullback tactic has added a new dimension to modern football, creating more dynamic attacking options and catching opponents off guard. As we look back at this rich history, one thing becomes clear: the future of football holds endless possibilities. Will AI and analytics invent the next great formation? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: the beautiful game will continue to evolve, captivating audiences worldwide with its ever-changing strategies and tactics. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Who knows what surprises the future has in store for us? And thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of football formations. Which formation is your favorite and why? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more exciting content. Until next time, stay passionate, stay curious, and keep watching.